Hey guys, welcome to another top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 worst television shows, in my opinion, of 2022. Like I said in my last video, I watched a bunch of TV shows that came out this year, 2022. Holy crap, there were some bad ones though. Holy crap. Some of these, a lot of these are very praised by critics and just, this is almost like a top 10 overrated shows of 2022. But I went worse because out of all the shows I watched, I genuinely didn't like these shows. So to me, they're the worst shows I've watched. And again, I didn't watch all the shittiest shows of this year because I didn't want to. These shows, I actually genuinely wanted to watch them, and I did not like them. So, yeah. So let's get to it. There's a couple shows that almost made this list, but didn't quite get there. One of them was the new season of Atlanta. I hated it so much. I love the first two seasons of Atlanta. Such a great dark comedy about the rap industry. Loved the characters. Loved Donald Glover in the show. They completely took all the comedy and all the soul of the first two seasons and made this bleak, depressing, politically driven season, and it sucked. It sucked. Another one is A League of Their Own. I did not like that either. Again, this is the modern era we live in. Take things from the past and make them shittier. Like, it's nothing like the classic League of Their Own movie with Tom Hanks and Gina Davis. That movie is such a delight and it's so funny. There's nothing funny about this show. I turned it off after halfway through episode 2. I'm just like, I can't take this shit no more. Just ugh. Another show I didn't like is Life and Beth, this Amy Schumer show. Some people told me to give it a chance. I'm like, well, it's Amy Schumer. She doesn't do anything good. But everyone's like, it's good. Watched a couple of episodes. It was not. I also couldn't finish Miss Marvel. I'm not saying it's a bad show. There's some very creative stuff in the show. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. I'm just like, and it's the only Marvel show I hopped out of. And that's saying something. Like, it wasn't like annoying me, but it was boring me, I guess. So I was just like, yeah, no. And yeah, so those didn't make the worst, but these ones did. Oh, I'm gonna get so much hate because some of these shows people actually genuinely love, and some people would call the best of the year. It's my opinion, guys. I'm sorry. Number 10, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know I'm saying it. I did a whole series on this. I did a review of every episode. I always gave this show a chance. That's why I watched all 6 episodes. Like, it's not a lot of episodes, and I love Star Wars, and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character. I wanted to like this show. Darth Vader was cool. That's it. They literally destroy Obi-Wan as a character in this show. And almost Princess Leia. Oh my god, she was awful. They brought this new character, Reva. She was terrible. It looked really cheap looking. I know everyone's like, well, it's a television show. I'm like, no, there's a lot of television shows that look fantastic. That is not an excuse. Like, I've seen Mandalorian. The Mandalorian looks great. This looks cheap and ugly looking, and they just did everything wrong. Everything I feared that would happen in this show all came true in this. It was a disaster. If you want to know full opinions, I did a review of every episode. Go check that out. Number 9. Speaking of Star Wars, The Book of Boba Fett. Ugh. Didn't like this show either. I don't like. I get like they brought the actor back. That's cool. Even though he's like 65. Even though Boba Fett should be like in his 40s. Like, I don't know. He's playing someone who's obviously much younger and skinnier than he should be. I don't know. I don't know why they thought like, oh, let's make Boba Fett a good guy. I'm like, wait, what? Why is he a good guy? And they don't even give a good reason because the sand people and stuff. I'm like, oh, wait, what? It's like it's just they don't give a good reason why Boba Fett is a good guy. He was a mercenary bounty hunter who only gave a fuck about was money and stuff. That's what made Boba Fett cool. and they just make him like this hero character who doesn't even look like he's interested in anything. Like he's just like, oh yes, I'm gonna save people. Like they even made the Tusken Raiders like good people. Like I feel like people just don't. Are people just like too chicken shit to make like real bad guys? Like they're not actually bad guys. They're good. They're just deep down. They have good hearts and stuff. I'm like, oh, please stop that. Just stop right now. Boba Fett was just embarrassing. The best parts was the Mandalorian stuff. The Mandalorian shit was the best part of the show. But I can't even count that as a positive because that has nothing to do with Boba Fett. Boba Fett it's called the Book of Boba Fett. And everything with Boba Fett sucked. So that's a huge flaw of the show. So, yeah. Anyways, number 8. How I Met Your Father. They've been talking about doing like spin-offs of How I Met Your Mother for a couple of years now. I didn't think it was going to happen. It happened, and it's awful. I gave it a chance because I love How I Met Your Mother, despite its terrible ending. I love the show. It's very funny, and it's always a show I can like put on and have a good laugh watching a few episodes. This show has no laughs whatsoever, and not a single interesting character, or even an enjoyable character. It's literally about a woman played by Kim Cattrall, and she's talking to her son, and you don't see the son's face, because I think they're trying to keep it secret and stuff, and she's telling the story how she met his father, and we get the story, and just these friends, and her younger self's Hilary Duff, and yeah, it's almost like How I Met Your Mother, just not funny. Like, I don't care about these characters, and I was trying to laugh, it just wasn't funny. That's all I had to be, is funny. You're a comedy show. Be funny. And it failed at that. So after about episode 6 or 7, I gave it a few episodes, because they're very short. I was like, I'm done. It's not getting any better. So yeah, terrible. Number 7, Halo. I did a whole video on this too. Halo, wow, bad show. Like right in the first episode, they pissed the entire fan base off, and we got like people boycotting the show. People want to sign petitions to delete this show from existence. It's really funny. As a show itself, it's not very good. There's some decent visuals. There's an action scene here and there that's not bad. But even just not as a Halo show, just as a show, it doesn't work. The story is very messy. It's riddled with plot holes. The characters are bland and one note. And they completely fucked up Master Chief. That doesn't feel like Master Chief. That is not Master Chief. And how dare you make him take off his helmet in episode 1? Are you fucking kidding me? And they make the show try to feel more modern in some ways. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous show. I hope we don't ever get anything like this ever again. But we will, of course. Number 6, Bel Air. Did a whole thing about this too. I did a whole video on this. Really awful show. People liked this show. I don't know why people liked it. Like, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air, is a classic show. That was one of my favorite comedy shows growing up as a kid. I loved it. I loved Will, Carlton, even the selfish Vivian. Sorry, not Vivian. Hillary. Sorry. Vivian, Aunt Viv was great. Uncle Phil, one of the best fucking characters in that show. I loved him. James Avery. You can never replace James Avery. It was a funny show, and I loved it. Bel Air ain't no funny show. It's like basically Fresh Prince of Bel Air if it was a serious, dark, traumatic show. I'm like, who the fuck wanted this? I didn't want this. Did anybody want this? And it's so bad. What they do to Jeffrey, I'm like, oh my god, remember Jeffrey? He was a funny British butler. They make him like this ex-gangbanger. I'm like, what? And they make Will Smith just unbearable. And they make Carlton a complete douchebag. And Carlton was just like this dorky guy that just like kept dancing. Not unusual. Tom Jones. Like he was just this dorky dude that Will made fun of all the time. But in this one, he's a complete fucking asshole. I'm like, what did they do to these characters that we loved? Every ounce of likability that the characters have in the original comedy show, none of that is in this show. And it's like unbearable to sit through. I'm like, what the fuck did they do to this show? Some people liked it. I fucking hated it. Alright, number 5. Number 5 is a medical drama show called Good Sam. My sister had it on. I watched a bunch of episodes with her because she loves medical shows. Could not stand this soap opera, medical mumbo jumbo, Grey's Anatomy, look-alike crap. Fucking terrible. I like some good medical shows. Like House is a great show. The Good Doctor has its good moments in that show too. Even Scrub, I didn't watch a lot of it, but there was some good stuff in there too. This Grey's Anatomy kind of thing, ugh. This is what this was. It was like a kind of new age Grey's Anatomy, and it was cringy as fuck. All right, number 4, Rings of Power. I know. It's not done yet. I know. But it's halfway through. I still can't stand this show. I said I would finish, though. I even said that. I said I will watch the entire first season. But as of now, as it's going on, halfway through, it's still terrible. And it's not because of the reasons some people say. It's just so boring and it's so uninteresting, and I don't like any of these characters, and every episode I watch, it's like torture to sit through, but I'm gonna do it because I promised everybody I would do it, and I gotta review the whole season when it's done and talk about how terrible it is, and it's not. I don't enjoy hating this show. I want to like it. It's so hard to like. I'm like, what? I don't know what people see in this show. It has no soul. It doesn't feel anything like Lord of the Rings. Nothing about it feels like Lord of the Rings. And everyone's like, well, it's supposed to be its own thing and stuff. It's not supposed to feel like Lord of the Rings, even though it's called Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Even the Hobbit movies, they feel like Lord of the Rings. They're still not great movies because they're overly bloated and too much is going on, and they stretched one book into 3 movies and stuff. It was maybe condensed into one film. I think the film would have been great. They stretched it, and it was too bloated, and there's just a lot of convoluted shit in the Hobbit movies. But it still feels like Lord of the Rings, and then still in that same world and universe. There's still a ounce of fun in the Hobbit movies. There's no fun in this show. There's no enjoyability or entertainment for me. I don't like any of these characters. They brought like Gandalf, they have Galadriel, Elrond. They're all terrible. That just doesn't feel like the characters I know. Sauron, I'm like, this is like a fan film. I even think a fan film would be better than this, but like this just feels like it's like fan fiction and stuff. None of it feels like Lord of the Rings. It feels like it's trying very hard to be like a Game of Thrones kind of thing. But we already got that. House of the Dragon. That show's fucking awesome. If you want to watch a Game of Thrones kind of show, watch House of the Dragon. It's amazing. This show? Number 3. The Time Traveler's Wife. Why did I watch this show? Apparently, according to people, the book is really good, and I saw the movie with Eric Bana and Rachel McAdams years ago, and it was a really bad movie. And everyone's like, whoa, this show is going to be just like the book. And some people are saying it is a lot like the book. And if that's true, it's probably a really terrible book. What's her name? The girl plays Ingrid from Game of Thrones is the main girl in this show. And it's a lot through her point of view about her husband being a time traveler, even though it should be more about the husband, because the book's through his point of view, not her point of view. But the show is just as stupid as the movie is. It doesn't make sense. They don't explain his time traveling. The rules of his time traveling make no sense. There's so many things that can prevent like his like death and some of these like circumstances that happen that can be easily prevented with his time travel, but then everything contradicts so many other things. It's just like, wait, what? And of course, the romance is very good. The two leads don't have any chemistry with each other, and it's just a really dull and stupid show. All right. Number 2, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Terrible show. I did a whole video on the first 4 episodes. This is one of the worst things Marvel has done, movie, television show wise. It's fucking awful. It's terrible. It's Tatiana Maslany. I was a fan. Like Orphan Black, she was great in that show. She's god awful in this show, and she plays probably the most unlikable bitch of a character in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, move over, Carol Danvers. We got a new bitch in line, and that's Jennifer Walters. Ugh. They also ruined Wong and Abomination, and they're gonna ruin Daredevil when he comes in, probably. The action's terrible. The effects look like trash. They shit all over the Incredible Hulk's character, and it's not funny. I see like reaction videos of people watching the show, and they're all like, "Oh, it's so funny." I'm like, really? Really? This show's funny? I don't get people's sense of humor anymore. Like, comedy is just weird nowadays. Like, so this is funny to people. This show is funny. I don't get people. I don't get it. Whatever. To each his own, I guess. But one of the worst television shows I've seen my entire life. And why is it number 1? Because I saw an even worse Abomination that came out this year, which is probably the worst show I've ever seen ever. Number 1's Resident Evil. Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. Love the franchise, the video game franchise. So good. This show looked awful. But I said to myself, it cannot be worse than Welcome to Raccoon City. That was a terrible movie. Can't be any worse than that. And anything Resident Evil, I give it a shot. Everything Resident Evil. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I'll give it a shot. No matter how stupid it looks, I'll give it a shot. A lot of regret. This is a horrible show. This is a terrible. One of the worst, if I did a top 5 worst television shows of all time, this would be the top 3. Horrible acting. Embarrassing action. Nothing scary. Source material, that's a joke. There is no Resident Evil source material at all in this show. It should have just been a zombie show. I don't know why they called it Resident Evil. I know why they call it Resident Evil, to get the fucking money, get people to click on the show. The show has nothing to do with Resident Evil, really. Barely ever. Like, nothing. Wesker in the show is a joke. These 2 lead characters, these teenage girls, half the show was like teenage soap opera. Not even a fucking Resident Evil show. This is ridiculous. The writing is like something was written by a fucking kindergarten. Like, it's... Ugh. Like, I did a whole video on this. Check that out. I'm trying to repress the memory of this show's existence, so I'm just going to end it right there. But take my word, Resident Evil, terrible show. Anyways, so that was my top 10 worst television shows I watched of 2022. Let me know in the comments below, what are the worst TV shows you've seen this year? Comment below, let me know. And as always, for this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.